Well, I was always right alongside the RMT's Mick Lynch on the idea that closing down all the ticket offices was a really rotten idea. People get there, they can be confused by the machines. It's also, for a sense of safety, nice to know that someone's there, particularly at somewhat deserted, smaller stations. It also means cash stays in circulation on the railways. I'm pleased. But let's get the full story. Christian Walmar is a railway journalist, historian, and a former Labour politician. Christian, why did they think it was a genius idea to close all these offices down?
Well, actually, the idea came initially from the train operating companies who wanted to save some money, right? And they tried to do a deal with the Department for Transport. Said, if we save you some money, can we have half the money for us and half the money for you? And the Department for Transport said, no, but we like your idea. So we'll take on the idea, give us these plans to close basically 900 ticket offices, and we'll kind of sort them out and we'll take them through the process, which is to get them set by an organisation called Transport Focus, who would have to look at them, right? But then it all went horribly wrong. First of all, there were 750,000 people responded to the consultation process, and I bet that 749,000 of them kind of were against it. And then Transport Focus kind of had a look at it, and basically today they've announced that actually they've rejected all these plans. None of them actually passed muster. None of them kind of satisfied the needs for people to get into the stations and buy tickets over the counter and stuff. Yeah. And so therefore they're dead.
And ask for advice.
And all that sort of stuff, complicated tickets.
Yeah, certainly some train lines with different companies operating on it. It is
absolutely.
Going up to Milton Keynes from Euston, it's quite confusing for people.
No, this is something we're 100% agreed on, Nigel. And then the government said, well, only 12% of tickets are sold. But when you think 12% of tickets, that's something like 500,000 tickets a day, I mean, it's kind of quite a lot of tickets, right? And so the whole idea was completely bad. But then the government has really done the dirty on the train operating companies, because they've said now, oh, we don't want anything to do with this. Don't even come to us with any proposals. And yet the train operating companies are desperate for money. They're actually being squeezed. So now they might well have to cut services because they can't save this money. And the government is not going to give them any extra money to keep these ticket offices open.
I was going to say, it's one piece of good news in what is not a very happy overall railway picture. Numbers still down since the pandemic?
Yes, they're about 80% back, or nearly 90%.
That's a huge change.
That's quite a big change, and the people who are not going, of course, are mainly commuters, and the people who are using it are leisure travellers. They pay less.
The commuters paying, of course, top-rate fares because they're going before 9:30 in the morning. Well, HS2 has gone. We were assured... No, you laugh. We were assured by Rishi Sunak this would mean all sorts of wonderful railway projects across the north of England.
Well, that's another bit of government dishonesty. The trouble is, Nigel, I just don't believe anything they ever say. And now they've said, oh, well, they're going to re-spend this money that supposedly saved on HS2. But, of course, the money doesn't exist. It was money they were going to borrow anyway. to pay for these things. And so they'd have to borrow to pay for these other things, which actually they're probably not going to do. So what I dislike about all this is the dishonesty. I mean, they ought to be straightforward about what they want to do. If they have to cut the railways, then they should say, we have to cut the railways and this is what we're going to do. But they try and blame the train operating companies.
We are a year away, maybe less, from a general election. If you believe the opinion polls, we're going to have a Labour-led government. Have they thought through their transport strategy when it comes to the railways?
Well, put it like this. They're halfway there. I mean, they're right to say that the railways should be renationalised, and that's absolutely correct.
Well, that's your view.
There's actually very few countries in the world that can run a profitable railway. And if you can't run a profit, it's not really a proper business. And if you're dependent on government subsidy, then you're always going to be beholden to government. Now, what we need is to recreate British Rail. It's an organisation like British Rail. No, British Rail, no.
I have terrible memories.
No, yes, we have terrible memories of some of the privatised companies. But if you look at the way British Rail was run, it was relatively efficient. It actually created amazing brands. Intercity, I mean, that's a worldwide kind of brand. It was actually quite good at spending taxpayers' money efficiently, and actually it produced actually quite good sandwiches, and that was one of the kind of nonsenses about it.
Christian Walmart, thank you. Well, good news about the ticket offices. What Christian's done here is to open up a bigger debate, and at some point we're going to have a big old debate. Should we renationalise the railways? I'm always deeply nervous of government running anything, but I'm prepared to listen, and I am prepared, in the case of the railways, if necessary, to change my mind.